the Super Speedway.
Every time. Every time.
Welcome to episode 233 of the Super Speedway podcast, recorded Tuesday, April 26th, 2022. I'm your host, Eric Young, and I am joined, as always, by my co-host, James Cush. And James, I cannot ever give up an opportunity for some good Kyle Busch audio. That was when he got dumped and went backwards because.
I thought that was you when you noticed the typo in the notes
right.
when you logged in.
Yeah,
I was like, oh, that's just Eric. That's normal. That's every time we log on to do the pod.
I figured it was only fitting. We're gonna have some Kyle Busch audio later. We might as well start it with some Kyle Busch audio too. So.
Oh, Kyle! I thought he was gonna be our lead news story this week, but nope.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's the lead news story anymore. We'll find out.
Yeah, well, he's first on the list, but
we'll find out when we get there. We'll see if we get to the list.
Right.
That's the thing. We have to get to the list,
That's
and
true.
then we'll see. We'll see where we go.
That is true.
Oh man, Eric, what a day! What
Yeah.
a weekend! Talladega.
Yeah, I mean,
Wow.
surprisingly, the biggest news coming out of Talladega has nothing to do with Talladega.
Well, that's usually that's been the normal.
That is true.
Last handful of years since
That
the
is true.
pandemic started.
Yeah.
Holy smokes!
Yeah, Talladega. We
Ross Chastain, the Melon Man,
right?
Gets it done.
2 wins this season for Trackhouse. 2 wins for Ross Chastain. Wins it in the car that he won at Coda with. I mean,
Jeez.
I don't know, man.
Just like Coda, Daniel Suarez outlapped him.
Yeah.
And he led the last one, the one that mattered, and got it, got the win again. The seas parted.
Yeah. He didn't do anything.
He didn't have to do anything, just hold the wheel.
Yep.
Jeez.
Straight through.
He said, what did he say in the press conference about he said he was going to hold his line no matter what, and I call BS on that. That's not the Ross Chastain I know very, very well. He just had the opportunity that was presented.
Well, how about the Ross Chastain earlier in the race that decided to run right through the middle of the pack in order to get the lucky dog?
Yeah,
I mean,
that was interesting. I wonder if, boy, I'm glad you brought that up because I wanted to talk about that. I wonder if NASCAR may actually say something about that since he admitted what he did on purpose.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because that was
nobody wrecked, right?
Nobody wrecked, but that was as close to the big one as I think we got all day. Kudos to the drivers for not crashing, but it was that was insane. I couldn't believe he did it.
You know what I think was the biggest win of the weekend?
He admitted to it. What's that?
The biggest win of the weekend was I don't think we had a single yellow line penalty.
No yellow line penalty. No big one too.
Not in the cup race.
Not if you want to count the Joey Logano big one.
See, so here's my take on that. Everybody keeps having the discussion as was that a big one or not. 9 cars I think were involved in it. The thing is to me that's a restart wreck.
Yeah, that's not. You gotta go. You gotta be going fast to have the big one.
I agree. If you have a wreck you can have a wreck like that at Michigan. You can have a wreck like that at Phoenix. I mean, anywhere where you have a wreck on a restart is going to take out a bunch of cars. That's not a super speedway big one. That is just a wreck. That's a restart wreck.
Yep.
So.
Yep.
But it was a mess. That's for sure.
Yeah, mess it was. Yep.
We ran the entire final stage in the cup race without a caution, which is incredible. They tried to wreck a bunch of times, but
well, I guess they did wreck at the end.
True. Yes. Everybody seems to gloss over the fact that we had 3 wrecks coming to the line.
Yeah, there was a carnage. But Wallace is heaving over and all sorts of other nonsense. But I heard I listened to the teardown and Bianchi said that was the longest green flag stretch to the finish that a super speedway has had since 2004 at Daytona, the Pepsi 400. So that's a long time, Eric. That's almost 20 years we're talking for a long green flag run. And the great part about it is we've had a couple of stinkers as far as how the cars performed recently. This was a good race, and I don't mind caution-free racing if that's what it looks like, because that was good. I know, like Blaney said, it's hard to pass out there, but man, that was some really good high-level driving all the way to the finish. I really thought that was our guys at the top of their game.
The first time I heard somebody say that we went the final stage without a caution, I'm like, that's not right. but it is. It's right, and that's how good the racing was. Is you kind of forgot that it wasn't a caution. And actually, I think would have probably hurt it if there was. The thing is all it takes is one caution, and as soon as you get that one, then you get the repetitive wrecks at the end of these races, and the fact that we didn't have one.
Series.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So that's what made the racing better at the end, I think.
Yes.
Sure. I agree. I think the racing looked really good. There's a lot of people on the inside of the industry that say that is. That's kind of an anomaly. It looked better than it actually was because they were having so much trouble passing.
Man,
so I don't know.
I don't know. I saw comers and goers, Eric.
That's kind of what I thought too, but I kind of trust those guys a little bit too. So I don't know. I will say that it was obvious that everybody left Daytona and went, we need to make these cars stabilized, and came with a completely different setup for this race than they did at Daytona because these cars were solid.
Yeah. And I think what we saw too, Eric, that these teams are going to continue to play with, again, the evolution of the car, kind of what you were saying there, but also the pack stayed tight for the most part, especially during that last stage. And when Eric Jones was leading, he really had control, and he could control from the high line and the low line. And what ended up happening was the pack finally broke up in turn 3 for the first time, really in that long run. And it caused chaos because the guys were just so tight and crammed in there. That's pretty much what cost him the race. Was the pack broke up behind him, and then everybody was able to get a run. But yeah, we didn't see, even the start of the race. If you think about it, we had 39 cars under a blanket for, the first handful of laps of the race. Really, there was no, usually you see a couple of stragglers coming back to the pack, but everybody stayed close, double file. We never saw that long line running the top. Nobody settled in this race. Everybody, I think the cars were so stable they could run side by side without too much risk, and obviously it worked.
Yeah. I mean, again, from my point of view, I thought the racing was really good. I don't need the big one at Talladega. I mean, I got plenty of carnage. The racing was good. Was carnage. So I can't complain. I was, pretty happy. We kept, we had two, an Xfinity race and a Cup race where we kept all the cars on the ground. That was good. Notice I didn't mention the ARCA race, but,
that was us. Yeah.
But that race
broken leg in that race.
Yeah.
In that accident. Yeah.
That race always scares the crap out of me. And that
is a scary race.
They got real lucky that the car that went airborne didn't turn over because it was close. You can't get much closer to turning over than that.
Well, and since we're talking about wrecks, I think the biggest hit of the day was Chase Briscoe side impact. Thankfully, the passenger side of the car, but he got hit a couple of times and really got slammed. I think it was by Chris Buescher on the high side earlier, I guess towards the end of stage 1. That seemed like a huge impact. I don't know, maybe this was just my naked eye lying to me, but I don't see the energy dissipating from these cars like it did in the old car. They just seem very rigid. Yeah. Even when they crash, they seem very, very rigid.
Well, you can see if they like transition from the banking, or if they hit something, the old car would like almost flex. Yeah, this thing is just stiff. Yeah. And I think that's translating to, sore drivers when they get out afterwards, because we've heard a lot of drivers talk about big hits this year. Fortunately, we haven't had any injuries as a result. And maybe that, okay, yeah, you feel it more, but it's still, it's still safe per se. I hope. I guess.
Well, think about, let's use Bubba Wallace as our example too. Yeah. We've seen cars hit on that angle for many years. And after the COT came along and the evolution of the Gen 6, those front impacts, that's the, what was it called? What do they call it, Eric? The widow's mark or whatever?
Yeah,
I can't remember exactly. But that type of impact is the impact that killed Dale Earnhardt. Mm-hmm. And it's just a really rough angle for a guy to hit on, and it doesn't look like a large impact. But you see somebody like Bubba Wallace, we're used to seeing the other cars take hits like that and drivers be completely fine.
Right.
Where with this machine, Bubba Wallace needed a few minutes to catch his breath afterwards, and even said on the radio he's not sure how many of those he can take.
Right.
Whether you like Bubba or not and believe him or not, I tend to believe a guy if he's been in a wreck.
Yeah.
To say like, hey, that hurt. And just because we haven't seen it in a long time doesn't mean it doesn't hurt. I think there's some validity there. Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, we've seen some big hits, and heck, Bubba's been a few of them. So,
oh yeah,
somebody's testing the strength of these cars. It's certainly Bubba Wallace.
Yeah, he's been one of them. Yep.
Austin Dillon performed well. So heck, Kyle Larson's worth mentioning. Fourth place finish for Kyle Larson on a super speedway. That's amazing.
One too many moves.
Yeah.
He made the mistake at the end, and I think if he stays down, he probably is the winner of this race.
Yeah, and also Denny Hamlin wouldn't be in trouble.
Yeah. We'll get to that.
Right.
Yeah, I think Larson, he was really happy with this run, his first ever top 5 at Super Speedway. I know he's pumped about that, but definitely had this one. And a lot of people calling him dirty for some of the moves he's made this season, and a lot of people didn't like that one either. But I don't know.
There's no such thing as a dirty move on a super speedway. I'm sorry.
No, everybody's blocking out there. Yeah, and I think it was definitely an aggressive move, and it wiped out the 2311 guys. But it's aggressive. But all these guys they're really aggressive. We saw Brad Keselowski being super aggressive again. Yeah. In certain stints. So I have no problem with it, but good run. Absolutely.
Brad Keselowski really fast in this race, just on pit road and not on the track.
Pit road penalties killed him. Yeah. Killed him. But you could see, when Blaney says guys had a hard time passing, I think Keselowski was the exception to that, I guess, showing that aggression, really pushing Joey Logano to the point of it was a bit extreme. But you could, I think you could if you wanted to press the issue. I think we saw flashes of that, and I wonder if and when we get to Daytona for the cutoff race, if we're going to see a lot more of that.
Well, I mean, Brad did better than Daytona, because he at least didn't wreck everybody he pushed this time.
Right.
So that was a big plus. You mentioned Eric Jones in the notes.
We got to talk about Eric Jones.
Man, leading coming off of turn 4 and finishes 6th.
I mean, Eric, I know, full disclosure, Eric's probably my favorite guy to root for.
Yeah.
And man, I wanted it so bad for him to get this. I want him to get this monkey off his back, because I think God, he can do it. And that team's been running pretty good.
Well, come on, and you can't not root for the 43 team too. And
he was driving that thing sideways.
Yeah.
He definitely wasn't.
You want to talk about somebody who has wrecked multiple times in this race? Eric Jones was wrecked multiple times and never spun out.
Yeah, I finally, Eric, it's been a while, but I found myself in a conundrum while he was leading late, and it was Jones, Larson, and Byron all up front, and I go, who do I want to win this one? These are probably my 3 favorite guys out here, and ended up saying this needs to be Eric Jones. And we talked about the pack breaking up behind him, but he said he thinks he didn't listen to his spotter, but I don't know. I think that once the pack broke up, I think they were getting a run on him. I don't think there's anything he can do.
No, he was too far out, man. He was too far out down the backstretch. Just wasn't going to happen. And that's, I mean, honestly, James, when was the last time we saw somebody leading down the backstretch on one of these races that won the race? It doesn't happen.
Yeah.
You either get wrecked or you get passed. There's no in between.
Well, and I think too, if it depends on who you are in this series. But if you went to Eric Jones and that 43 team and said, hey, listen, you're going to be leading with half a lap to go at Talladega, you're going to take that 100 times out of 100 and deal with the consequences no matter what. And you got to get yourself in position no matter what that is. And I think they were in the right spot for them. But again, like you said, Eric, the leader's just a sitting duck out there for, most of the time. But, if things break a little bit different, I mean, look, Ross Chastain was not in the best spot to win that race. The seas never part like that in the tri-oval. He wasn't supposed to win this race, but, good fortune. And he got the lucky dog and he was in position, and that's super speedway racing. We're going to, get the Joey Logano clip out, but that's, that's what happens in these races, Eric. You can, it really is a roll of the dice, and if your number comes up, it comes up. Yeah, I think. It's, there's guys who are really good at this.
Well, the skill is to put yourself there with the white flag. Yes. If you can be in the top, if you can consistently be in the top like 6 at the white flag, you're a great restrictor plate racer or super speedway racer, and the rest is luck.
Well, and look at look at Kyle Larson.
Yeah.
He is an inexperienced super speedway racer in this situation. He's
Mhm.
never there, and he made a huge error.
Yep.
That could pretty much cost him the race. And you think about somebody like Michael McDowell, he's constantly found himself in position, and that one time his number got called at Daytona, he was right there for the taking.
Yep.
Kind of, similar to how Chastain won this race. So,
yep.
You just got to be.
Well, it's Bubba Wallace last year. I mean,
yeah.
he got on a rain out, but he raced to the finish of it.
Everybody drove like crazy. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So, I mean, it's just, it doesn't happen very often where it's the same guy that has his number drawn. You've got your Denny Hamlins, you've got your Dale Earnhardt Juniors, and
Keselowski.
Keselowski.
Yep.
These guys that managed to make the right moves at the right point, but
someday Ryan Blaney.
Yeah,
maybe he's always there. Yeah. I was thinking too, your boy Justin Haley in the Xfinity series always seems to find himself in the right spot and has a lot of experience. That's why I wouldn't be surprised if he stole a cup race at one of these venues too.
Corey LaJoie is another one that always seems to find his way up there.
Or Byron.
Yep.
Byron, if you count Atlanta too, he's done this twice as well. So yeah, there's guys who find themselves in the right spots. David Reagan was another one back in the day. He would somehow find his way in there.
Yep.
So that new car or not, that hasn't gone away.
Yep. We had some engine issues. Tyler Reddick finishes 39th with an engine issue with the RCR car. So some issues there. I'm trying to think what else is really worth mentioning in this race.
Well, we talked about the Logano issue with the crash.
Yeah.
And somebody was out there. Oh, Stenhouse with the toe completely knocked out, decided to take another lap around and delayed us a couple of times. So
right. The Rick Ware Racing cars took each other out.
Oh my gosh, Cody Ware on pit road at the first pit stop.
Yeah. Christopher Bell kind of wrecked himself coming off pit road with Kyle.
Yep, that cost him. Yep, yeah, that cost him the finish too because he lost the draft.
Could have been our caution, but they left it green.
Never got it. Yeah. Stage winners, because of some of the cautions too that we had, but Bubba Wallace stage 1, Byron stage 2. A little bit of strategy going on there, but most of your guys you would expect throughout the day were all the way up there and got a lot of guys leading laps. We mentioned Suarez, we mentioned Byron and Blaney again. All those guys, typical guys you see leading these laps. I was going to note too. How did Denny Hamlin run out of gas at the end? What was that?
I guess they didn't get it full. I don't know, man. That team just can't finish a race right now.
They are lucky they got that win.
Yeah.
I mean, they are, Eric, we're 10 races in. They have one top 10. It's the win. That's it.
Yep.
Man, he's 24th in points. He's going to end up having to fight for 30th in points if he's not careful here. My goodness. They are terrible.
He'll be more in touch with his feelings though after this weekend.
Well, yes.
You're noting all these finishes and where they ran. Again, you mentioned Ross Chastain with the win. 1 lap led. He only placed in stage 2 in the top 10. He finished 9th in stage 2. Stage 1 nowhere to be found. So you can run good. It don't matter till the end.
Is that the first time in NASCAR history back-to-back winners only led 1 lap? I think that's what I had read, but I don't want to be proven wrong. But yeah, so it is an interesting stat no matter what. Back-to-back winners, 1 lap led on the day. The most important one. That's all that matters.
So when is the Trackhouse bubble going to burst?
Boy, they keep bringing good stuff.
And Eric, do we count this because it's a super speedway win? So I mean, there's an element of luck there.
Yeah, wins count. We're not taking Atlanta away from Byron. At least I'm not. We're not taking Daytona away from Cindric.
Right. So is Ross Chastain a legitimate title contender? He's got to be, right?
No, I'm not there yet.
Really?
I'm not there yet. No, he's a definite top 10 in points guy though.
Didn't they run? I guess they ran well at Phoenix, didn't they? Trackhouse.
Yeah, I mean they're running good everywhere.
Yeah,
they're leading laps. Suarez is going to win a race if they keep it up. He's been up front a lot too. He just kind of has been snake bit a little bit. This team is not gosh, Eric, they went from, remember last year, man, watch Trackhouse, keep an eye on Trackhouse.
Well,
and
the
all of
thing
a
to
sudden,
keep
here
in
they
mind,
are.
though, is too,
Here they
and
are.
Jordan Bianchi mentioned this, I believe it was on the Teardown, or maybe it was Jeff Gluck, but
It was Gluck. I just listened to it.
yeah, I listened to it today too. You got to remember that this is not a new team. This is basically Chip Ganassi Racing.
Yep.
So I think they're getting unfairly viewed as an underdog. Not that Chip Ganassi Racing was lighting any fires or anything, but they would win a race or two a year.
I would say though, but yes, that's true. I agree with that 100%. They've got good resources now. They're escalating quickly.
Coupled with the new car and two really talented drivers. I mean, there's no argument that Ross Chastain's a talented driver. We know Ross Chastain. We know Suarez is. So
yeah, Suarez is a champion in the top 3 series of NASCAR. He's good, man. These are good drivers. This is a good organization. They have a lot of funding and backing. They have escalated very quickly, but they were not messing around last year either. Like,
right.
They had some really shining moments, last year too. This is a well put together machine.
Yeah.
I would say maybe since Stuart Haas was formed, we haven't seen a new team, quote unquote. Right.
Right.
I guess not.
We had a similar situation over there where you had sort of an established team that came in with some extra resources and now became a powerhouse.
You bring in exactly, and you bring in 2 talented drivers, Ryan Newman and Tony Stewart, and you build an organization up with really talented people all over the place, and all of a sudden you're competing for championships and race wins. Trackhouse is definitely in the conversation. I am not ready to put them in the championship contender category yet, but he's got the most wins in the series with Byron right now. So what are you gonna?
2 drivers with multiple wins. William Byron and Ross Chastain both have 2 wins. Nobody else. And then, I mean, the list of drivers that haven't won a race yet is incredible. A lot of big names that we'd expect to have wins at this point.
Yep. No Truex, no Chase Elliott,
yeah.
No Harvick, Blaney. Go down the list. Kurt, you could say Kurt Busch if you want. Keselowski, there's a lot of guys who need to win.
Yep.
This is incredible to me too, because they are succeeding in a crazy good way. Whereas, compared to Roush Fenway, Keselowski Racing, which is still struggling, they came out of the box fast, but they don't have this type of speed.
Yeah. Brad is living the fears that I had for him in that organization.
I think they'll be okay eventually. This is just, it's going to be a tough first year, and that's okay. That's okay.
I hope so, man. I hate to see Brad do the Darrell Waltrip and end his career with his own team and just struggle.
I just think he's too talented and he's too smart to let this slip.
Yeah, Darrell wasn't talented though, right?
Well, Darrell was at a different phase of his career too. At that point.
I don't know. He was still winning races at that point. I mean, he was still a race winner when he moved his own team.
He was in his late 40s. This is
but that was late 40s, man. That was prime back then.
Yeah, I know.
You had Harry Gant out there winning races still.
I know what you're saying. I get it.
No, I'm with you. I think there's definitely time to turn it around. I think this year is not going to be the year it happens. I mean, they're so far in the hole right now that I mean, at this point, I mean, you still get a win and get in, but I don't know. At this point,
Daytona's still on the schedule.
You put all your eggs in that basket, though.
I guess, yeah. We've seen it happen before.
Anything else with? How do you think? How was it watching Dale Jr. in the booth with Fox?
Oh man, he was great.
I thought that was excellent.
Yeah, he's good, and it elevated Boyer as well.
I mean, I don't think Boyer's done a bad job. I think Boyer's been good all season. I've been impressed with Boyer on his own. I really thought having the talent of Mike Joy with the abilities that Junior has as an analyst mixed with Boyer's goofiness, which isn't over the top goofiness like we used to see with Darrell. I just thought it was a really good balance. It was so refreshing to see when we weren't in commercial to watch.
Junior is just solid, man.
Yeah.
He's gotten very good at it. He's got the reps now. I'm really glad NBC let him come over and do a super speedway race. He's just so smart.
He's NASCAR's Troy Aikman.
Yeah, I mean, Tony Romo, right?
Or Tony Romo, that's not Troy Aikman. Tony Romo.
he'll take Troy Aikman's paychecks.
Right.
I'll tell you that. So
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, Troy Aikman's another. I mean, yeah, same class of guys.
Yep.
You know, that are really good at what they do, really valuable, and just bring a lot of credibility. Yeah, he was great. And I'll add too, Clinton Boyer driving Davey Allison's car was probably my favorite moment of the weekend. Seeing the 28 car go around the track, man, it looked good. It was so cool to see that back out there. I thought that was my favorite part of the whole weekend, honestly.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
It was great.
We're going to talk about the Xfinity race, but while we're talking about the broadcast, big shout out to Coleman Presley on the Xfinity series as well. Did a really good job of analyzing what was going to happen at certain points in the race, and then having it immediately happen as he analyzed it.
That's the Tony Romo.
Yeah. It was very cool. I've really enjoyed it. It's not really something that you'd think of. Yeah, let's have a spotter do the broadcast, but especially at a super speedway like this, they're so important there. It was pretty cool to see that as well.
And the spotters see things develop that others can't.
Yeah.
And they see the whole track in a way that they're looking at things we're not looking at.
Yeah. So
they're trained. That's what they train to do.
We've blasted Fox a lot, but I got to give them some credit for having good people in the booth this weekend. It was pretty cool to see. And yeah, there's a story about how the whole Dale Jr. thing happened, and a lot of it had to do with the USFL and the relationship between Fox and NBC that started that whole process. And I mean, just cool. I if we can find a way to sign Junior up for both halves of the season, I mean, I'm sure Amy wouldn't be real happy about it, but I sure would be.
Well, Eric, all it took to fix Fox was to inject some NBC.
Yeah.
Who would have thought?
Exactly, right?
Who would have thought?
Right?
Yeah.
What do you think it would take to fix the truck broadcast?
Oh, boy.
A totally new network?
Well, yeah. That Sheldon Creed. That guy. Yeah.
All right. Let's see here. Ross Chastain's second win of his career. First victory and first top 10 finish in 7 races at Talladega Super Speedway. Austin Cindric was the highest finishing rookie in 21st place, James.
Rough day for the Rooks.
Yeah. The day before, we had the Ag Pro 300 with the NASCAR Xfinity Series, and again, the theme of leading one lap at the end. Noah Gragson gets the win. He did lead 7 laps on the day, though. But Noah Gragson gets the win, climbs the fence, and just barely beats out an Earnhardt in the number 3 car. Jeffrey Earnhardt finishes second.
Yeah, that was probably the story of the day, right?
Yeah.
That was, and I'll say this, Eric. I was not overly confident in Jeffrey going into the day. I knew he had a fast car. But when that race got down to the nitty-gritty with 5 laps to go, he diced his way up.
Yep.
And, if they would have had one more lap, he might have stole this one, because he looked like an Earnhardt.
Yeah.
Driving up there. It looked good, man.
Yeah, he didn't look like he had a shot toward the end, and then all of a sudden he's right there.
All of a sudden he was there. And I'm like, well, I said, that's his granddad.
Right.
If anything, if he's gotten anything from his granddad sneaking up in the late laps of Talladega, that might be the one thing he's got right there, because holy crap, did he look like Grandpa? I mean,
3 green white checkers and elimination of about half the field certainly helped.
Well, you gotta keep her clean.
Yeah.
Keep her clean. Yeah.
Yeah, this one was a wreck fest, especially at the end.
Oh my God.
Tore up a lot of equipment. Yeah, so the Xfinity Series at Talladega, right?
Good grief. Oh man, I don't even know. They were wrecking. I felt like they were wrecking all race long.
Yeah.
It just seemed like they were not going to stop wrecking.
I watched this race really late on Saturday night, so my recollection of it is not great. But
well, Ty Gibbs had a moment.
Yeah.
Which was interesting. And then the Colleague guys had some problems, and all of a sudden
Freddie Kraft claims that as Ty Gibbs was wrecking, he was flipping the bird to Ryan Sieg. So Ty hasn't learned anything yet. Maybe he should join Denny.
I didn't hear that story.
Yeah, that was on DBC this week.
Well, I tell you what, the NBA is letting everybody flip the bird to
Yeah.
the fans and whatever. So yeah, I mean, if it's good enough for them, I guess we can do it over here too.
Yeah.
Flipping the bird while he was wrecking.
While he's
That's
wrecking.
awesome. Wow.
Yep.
Well,
Hand out the window, flipping the bird, Freddie Kraft said. So
I didn't hear about that. So.
Yeah, he was his what an idiot, I believe, for the week on Door Bumper 3.
I don't. I have no reason not to believe that story.
I don't want Ty Gibbs to change though. I want him to keep being a punk because it's fun.
He's definitely punks are fun.
Yep. So, and I tell you what, Ross Chastain's not making any friends, but he's got 2 wins in the Cup Series this year. So,
yep,
maybe a little different.
He'll fit in nicely with that open seat that's coming to the Cup Series.
Yeah, right.
Again, we keep laying Easter eggs.
Which open seat? There might be a couple at Joe Gibbs Racing when we're done with everything.
There could be 3.
Right. Anything else worth talking about in this one?
No, but
here's a positive, James, in this race.
Yeah, go for it.
3 drivers failed to qualify. 2 of those were Natalie Decker and Jesse Ouija, which probably eliminated at least 2 more wrecks in this race.
Yeah.
Sorry, but Jesse Ouija has been a dart without feathers.
Well, and Natalie Decker, I mean, it's at least 1 wreck because it depends on how hard she hits the car in front of her right. At this point. You talk about characters we love, and I mean Noah Gragson.
Yes.
Get the job done, man. He's awesome. I love that he climbs the fence and he looks like a hill rod, and he fits the bill. So
then he went and partied it up on the boulevard.
Oh my God.
And
Bob Pockrass partying up on the boulevard.
Yes. Bob was partying
awesome.
up. Bob claims that he was not as drunk as he appears in the video on Fox, but
I'm telling you,
I don't know, man.
I know my friend Bob pretty well. I haven't seen him like that before. Let's put it that way.
I'll tell you what, there are two ways that somebody like Bob could go. You could look at it and just be embarrassed, or you can just admire all that is Bob. And that's what I do, man. I admire all that is Bob. Bob is the man.
Bob's on my list of people I would love to have a beer with at a race.
Well, you know what it's like now.
He's just dancing. I thought so. You sent me a video over the weekend. I thought we saw Bob in a candid moment, and turns out no. I think he had Fox. I think he had it all planned out.
Yeah,
that was great stuff.
I will say
Noah couldn't party up too much because he had to drive the beard car.
Well, apparently he was pretty hungover at his driver appearance on Sunday morning. So
no, Noah. Well,
he was on the Chevy stage, and according to some fans, he was not doing too well.
Well, hydrate.
Right.
There's a medical center there. They can get IVs in. He'll be fine.
Yeah, exactly.
He finished top 20. He was good.
Yeah.
He kept it clean.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about it. It's time to get Noah in the Cup Series. I'm looking forward to that. He's a great personality, and he's the type of guy we need in these races. He's a fan favorite too, which is pretty cool. So unlike Ty Gibbs, who's polarizing, people love Noah.
Reasons. Yeah, Ty Gibbs is polarizing for a lot of reasons.
Yeah. Man. I mean, I guess you can't call it a negative for him because it's a positive that he's got the Gibbs name and he gets all the, the help with it. But he also has to carry that on his shoulders too. So,
yep,
I'm sure it's not easy being Ty either. But it sure does feel good when you're pulling into victory lane with tons of checkered flags on your wall and all that stuff. So,
man, good stuff.
Anything else worth mentioning with Xfinity, James? Did we miss anything?
No, we got other stuff to get to, buddy.
We do have other stuff. We might as well get to it.
I'm not sure where you're going to go next.
We might as well get to it. Let's start with the thing that was going to be the big news item of the week.
We're going to save the best for last. Okay, let's go.
Yeah, so I'm just going to play the clip. This is courtesy of Noah Lewis, one of the NASCAR reporters who recorded this audio of Kyle Busch in the media center at Talladega discussing his contract talks.
Do you have any sort of time frame for when you want your plans to be decided for next year?
Yesterday.
You're getting antsy about it?
I'm not getting antsy about it. If it happens, it happens. If it don't, it don't. Goodbye.
So goodbye is an option?
Ask Joe Gibbs.
Have you been knocking on his door about it?
Not my problem.
Is it their problem then, right?
Gotta sell it. If you don't sell it, then nothing to sell or nothing to have.
So it's all about the sponsor.
Correct.
So there's more that goes on in this discussion, and you can hear with him, kind of chuckling with Claire B. Lang. This is Kyle being Kyle. He's being cagey. He's trying to get Joe Gibbs to finally put the last bit of ink on paper, because we know they're close. That's what we're hearing. But he talked a little bit more about the last line he said is, well, he kind of implied that he might be done if there's basically no ride available for him. And he's asked if that's really an option, and he's like, come on, and like whatever. And they ask him, well, what would you do? Would you take a different ride in another series or something? He said he'd become Brexton Busch's truck driver.
Oh my god.
So, but it's worth talking about, James, because here's a guy who, and Brett Griffin talked about it on Door Bumper Clear this week. Brett Griffin, of course, if people don't realize, not only is he a spotter, but he's really big into, he's an agent for drivers. He helps sign sponsorships and all this stuff. And he pointed out that when you're trying to fill a sponsorship that you're losing with M&M's, you're talking a multi-million-dollar sponsorship to pay probably the highest or one of the highest paid drivers in the Cup Series. Look, he's the only multi-time champ we've got right now.
Yep.
You probably should put a smiling face on and act grateful for what you have, rather than this.
That's not Kyle Busch.
Right. It's not Kyle
He's never
Busch.
been great. He's never been grateful for what he has his entire life.
Am I a positive person?
There you go. So, but yeah. So what's your take on this, James?
Let's ask this question. Do I think Kyle Busch is leaving Joe Gibbs Racing?
No.
I have a hard time believing that. Do I think that he was asked to take a pay cut?
Right.
Yes, I do. And I think he's a little bit salty about it.
Yeah.
That would be my hunch. And I don't think he likes it very much.
Right.
Would that be was that the first thing you thought of?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, we know that driver salaries are going down. And they're being asked to take concessions. And we know, like I said, that Kyle Busch likely is one of, if not the highest paid drivers in NASCAR right now.
Yes, because he's got a big time sponsor like his teammate Denny Hamlin too.
Yeah, one of the few that has a sponsor that's on the car almost every weekend.
Yes.
And you see other brands on the car than M&M's, but a lot of those are still the same company.
Yes.
So that's
Interstate takes a few, and what DeWalt takes a couple. But yeah, M&M's is on that car 30 times a year.
Well, and you see Pedigree and stuff like that on the car too. That's an M&M's brand or a Mars brand.
Yeah, that's all Mars. Yep.
So yeah, that's not a different sponsor. That's that same sponsor that's going away. Yes. I don't know. I mean, for one, where does Kyle have to go? There's not a whole lot of options for him. The biggest
couple options.
Well, the biggest options to me are obviously 2311 is an option. Kyle could move his own team up, and there's a big empty vacancy in that Stuart Haas number 10 for next season.
Right. Yep.
So at this point, I can't imagine he's probably had a conversation. Maybe he's really trying to push that last little bit. Toyota wasn't thrilled with his comments.
Nope. They came out and said they were disappointed in those comments.
Yeah.
This was definitely a tactical move on his part. He's always grumpy for grump's sake. I haven't seen a driver of Joe Gibbs Racing. Disrespect is probably not the right word, but when he said "ask Joe Gibbs," that really caught me off guard, because I just haven't seen one of their drivers challenge him. Maybe that's the better word. Maybe challenge the authority of Joe Gibbs Racing like that before, or at least it's been a long time. That definitely caught me off guard, because he's definitely playing a business game here. But he knows he's an owner. He's an owner. He knows how this kind of stuff works. And he made a comment about the the truck series being 95% funded drivers.
Yep.
And he's not wrong. 95% is probably a little high.
95% daddy's money, I think, is the exact quote.
Yeah, exactly. We said it. Yeah. Well, he employs some of them guys.
Yeah.
He knows how it goes. Kyle doesn't bring that. He believes, as Eric, as his best friend Brad Keselowski himself did as well. They believe that their merits should warrant their job security. They shouldn't have to go out and find sponsors to keep their ride. They are championship level drivers who win multiple times a year in the Cup Series.
Let's look at it from the other angle then. If you're Joe Gibbs, Do you let Kyle Busch get away? This guy's won 18 seasons consecutively. He's won 2 championships. He's still arguably at the top of his game. Obviously, you got grandson Ty coming in that you're going to have to find a spot for because the kid's got a lot of talent, regardless of whether he's your kin or not. But, I mean, you can't let Kyle go, right?
Well, he's not the first pick of the litter that I'd let walk. He's the one I'd want to keep.
He's the leader of Joe Gibbs, right? I mean, Truex has a championship.
Yeah.
Truex championship came before Joe Gibbs.
Yeah,
then he
Denny's
doesn't have a
doing
title.
something. Then he's doing his own thing with 2311 now too.
Yeah.
Kyle is the, he's 1A or 1B of the best drivers that organization's ever had.
Right.
Probably is the best driver that organization's ever had when you look at his complete resume with them. He is a pillar in the current sport right now. He's one of the guys, and it's hard to let that walk away. That being said, could Ty Gibbs come in and fill that seat and give you 80% of Kyle Busch's production at this point? Probably. That might be a little high, but yeah, I think he could.
Ty's probably not going to get you the championship that Kyle might, but he sure as heck probably will get you wins that Kyle won't.
And I tell you what, he's going to be just as grumpy.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
And it's easier to be to deal with grumpy when they're family and they're cheaper.
Take him behind the woodshed instead.
Yeah, you can't do that when it's not your own kid, right?
Well, and look at it from the Stuart Haas side of things. That would be a huge win for Stuart Haas, right?
Yeah,
to get
big
Kyle Busch.
Steal.
And how big of a steal would that be for Ford with that truck team when Ford has like no presence in the truck series right now?
That's the one where I'm wondering if there's been a conversation.
Yeah.
Or maybe even Harvick's looking to, maybe Harvick might be done, and do you bring him in to replace Harvick as the
can you imagine Harvick being part of Kyle Busch coming to
boy holy smokes,
the history that those two have.
I'm telling you, Eric, that would be a nice transition for Stuart Haas.
From a story standpoint, wouldn't it be a great story?
Well, and there's great synergy there when you think of the development with the Xfinity Series and Truck Series potential. Definitely the Truck Series. You could start putting your drivers. Ford doesn't really have a lower level program. If they can come in and steal Toyota's best lower level program and put their own crop in there. Ford loves development.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of synergy there. So for us who love the speculation game, this is fun. This is a good silly season. What if? That being said,
it's
Joe
not
Gibbs
happening.
No.
He'll be in that 18 car next year with whatever sponsors on it.
At bare minimum, he's getting a 2-year deal out of this. He's going to get like that Jimmy Johnson type deal where we're going to give you 2. If you want to go more, go more. There's just no way. I mean, Eric, Brad Keselowski left the 2, Tony Stewart left the 20, Dale Jr. left the 8. Guys leave after, they do leave. They do leave from time to time. This would shock me though. This definitely came out of left field for sure.
Yeah, definitely. It certainly wasn't on my radar at all.
And can Kyle ever just, is he all, I mean, do I ask this every third week on here? Is he ever happy with anything? He's so grumpy.
Nope.
Jenna Fryer pressed him in that interview too, to make sure, like she asked him, like, Kyle, basically she said, am I getting this right?
Mm-hmm.
And he kept on going.
Yeah.
They gave him a couple of opportunities and he was, still going. He doesn't care. He's mad. He's mad. He's gonna put on his pouty face and do his
I don't know.
thing.
We don't want Kyle to be any different though, right? And we don't have to sign his paycheck, so we don't care.
No, you said it about Ty Gibbs 20 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Don't change.
Yep.
Kyle Busch ain't changing.
No, we don't have to worry about that. It hasn't happened yet. It is never happened.
He's definitely gotten worse though. Like Kyle doesn't do anything that's likable outside of I mean, honestly,
you're not wrong.
Does he?
No, you're totally right.
He doesn't go out of his way to do things that are likable. I mean, he's got his charity.
Well, if you watch his social media, he looks like a great dad and good times and everything,
But he's not. That's not who he is in the in public. He's always grumpy in interviews. He won the race at Bristol last week, and he looked like he was mad, because he didn't want to be there. he's just a grouch.
Yeah.
Just always grouchy. He
I
never
will
looks like he's having fun.
I will say his post-race media at Bristol, he was asked about whether he still thinks NASCAR shouldn't be racing on dirt, and he was actually gave a pretty good answer. I was surprised. I thought for sure he'd just say yeah, whatever.
He seems tired of it, you know.
Yeah.
And maybe that's it. I don't know. He's grumpy about being a truck owner. He's wearing T-shirts that complain about his money. You know, it's like he's always mad.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know what's the truth.
And the irony is that James is criticizing Kyle Busch for this, because if anybody knows James is a grumpy fella.
Oh yeah, we are. Yeah,
so
we
am
are
I.
Not, no, Kyle and I are not cut from the same cloth, but we're definitely we're definitely made in the same factory.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, heck yeah, I can be. I can be a curmudgeon.
Curmudgeon is the word. Curmudgeon is the word. Kyle, not so much a curmudgeon. Kyle's just Kyle.
You know, and to let people peek behind the curtain a little bit, I do play up the curmudgeon just a little bit.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't. He does not play it up at all. It is 100% accurate.
The true character is not that far off from what the character you get.
We are going to get Erin on this podcast, and she will confirm.
Oh, I am. Oh yeah, she'll bury me. Anybody who knows me will bury me because I am a grump.
Right. So, questions starting the weekend, whether Kyle's going to continue on with Joe Gibbs. And then Denny Hamlin decided to make everybody speculate whether he was coming back this weekend, too.
He took the heat off his teammate for a little bit.
So if you missed it, because he has since deleted the tweet, which took way longer than I expected it was going to.
Don't worry, Eric got the screenshot.
Yeah, I took the screenshot to be safe because I knew it was coming down.
Eric thought, I'm going to need this someday to devastate this man.
Yeah, so I don't want to get too much into it, but Denny basically tweeted a clip from Family Guy, an Asian joke, and
Asian woman driver.
Yeah, credited it to Kyle Larson making his bold move at the end of the race, and then immediately after replied to his tweet saying that it's okay, we're friends, I can joke about it.
Yep.
And then the tweet was deleted later that evening, and
Apology was sent.
Denny had apologized, and then NASCAR announced earlier today that he's got to start sensitivity training, and he's got to do it before this weekend's race, or he's not racing.
And Eric and I were messaging, but Todd was included. We were we were actually having a good time with it because Eric called it from the beginning, like, oh, he's gonna be in trouble.
Yep.
And then I thought, he might skate on this one.
No. And
then the tweets came down, and I thought, oh, and then the announcement came out, and I sent it to the group. There's sensitivity training, and we were all, we had a laugh about it, but it's boy, just dumb. It's just dumb what he did.
And there's a lot of people defending him on Twitter, including Mike Joy at one moment, until Mike Joy was told that was a bad idea.
Yeah.
This is a tough area for me, and I don't want to get into it a whole lot because on one hand, there's
we're not, you and I are not the keepers of woke culture.
Right.
And cancel culture. Like, that's not what we want to do. But
yeah.
I do think that you and I are good czars for what a jackass is.
Right.
And oh boy, did this had the bullseye of jackass.
Oh yeah.
All over.
Yeah, I think we can skip Jackass Corner this week because we pretty much have we've covered it.
Yeah, and Mike Joy finished in a distant second, but he was on the track with him.
Yeah, exactly. So I tweeted this earlier today, and I want to reiterate it for the podcast. The thing is so Seth MacFarlane is a comedian. Seth MacFarlane is a guy who is an edgy comedian that has made his career being edgy, and that is his job. Denny Hamlin, I'm sorry, is not a comedian. Denny Hamlin is a race car driver whose job depends on sponsorship.
He's a business partner.
Yes, depends on people paying a lot of money to put their name on his uniform and on his race car. And I'm sorry.
He has diversity as one of the sponsors of his car.
He has
FedEx.
Bubba Wallace as a driver. So,
and if anybody should know better than to do something, whether you think it's right or wrong, but to do something as questionable as that, Yes.
The team owner
I
of
just
the guy
can't-
who has a documentary about him on Netflix called Race.
The guy who got the Confederate flag banned, who's
Right.
been through some stuff. Yeah. Yeah.
I will note that Kyle Larson has been noticeably quiet about this. Good on Kyle.
He ain't
because
saying anything. Oh, he's not saying it.
he's-
He ain't gonna say it.
he had himself in enough trouble a year ago for this sort of thing.
Yep.
So
2 years ago now. Gosh,
Yeah,
it's
right.
been that long. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's just
the
not
people that
smart.
don't understand the fact that it could be an issue is that just shows how much we still have to grow. Yep. I'm not for being the PC police. I'm not for being robots but you got to be sensitive. And again, there's a place as a comedian who's an edgy comedian making an edgy television show that might make that joke, or a stand-up comic standing in an arena where people pay to see them be edgy might get away with something like this. But when you're a NASCAR driver with
Eric,
top 100 company on your race car.
Yeah.
You
And
know?
if you want to listen, man, if that's the kind of relationship you and Kyle Larson have with each other, and you want to send that to him directly, I got no problem with that.
Right.
That's your friend. That's your friendship. But when you are, like I said, he's a business partner. He's not just a race car driver. He's an owner. He is a corporate face.
Yep.
When when your driver that you employ, one of his great causes, like Bubba Wallace or not, I don't care. But one of his great causes, and one of the things he says, is that nobody should feel comfortable to be a fan of NASCAR, to be at a racetrack. And we have gone a long way to do a lot of great things, I feel like, for diversity and Black culture and getting diversity at the racetrack. But Asian American experience is also very different, and the writing was on the wall. You can't use a stereotype to make a joke in a public place.
Well, that's my argument, James. Is I would almost say that what Denny did was worse than what Kyle Larson did, because Kyle Larson did what he did. He
didn't defend himself.
Well,
he didn't. He thought he was on a private channel.
Yeah,
right?
he thought he was on a private channel. He didn't realize it was being broadcast publicly, whereas Denny Hamlin knew damn well this intentionally was broadcast publicly.
Yeah.
So, I'm not saying that Denny should be suspended or whatever, but I don't know. I think he got off pretty easy with sensitivity training.
He definitely got lucky that it's just sensitivity training, because this is a first-time offense.
Yeah.
And Denny Hamlin, to his credit too, by bringing in Michael Jordan, and that 2311 team is building. And that's the other thing that's so baffling to me about this. That if you watch any of that documentary on Bubba Wallace, that 2311 team is building around diversity and hiring diverse candidates for positions all throughout that organization, marketing, engineering, that they take pride in their diversity. So just because of, you're being diverse with one set of people, you can't just go out and make a joke about another minority,
Right.
You're take up the cause, man. If you're going to take up the cause and be smart about it. It's just, listen, it's a silly thing. It's a dumb tweet. Elon Musk isn't going to allow these kinds of things very soon. It's just, it's all silly.
Elon Musk is all about free speech, James. We'll be good.
Denny
will have a place on Twitter for sure.
Yeah, there will be no sensitivity training for Denny after this. It's just, I can't describe it any more than it's just stupid. It's just so stupid. It's unbelievably stupid.
Somebody pointed out on Twitter, and I don't remember who it was. I was trying to find the tweet, but somebody pointed out that maybe not just Denny should take sensitivity training. Maybe all the drivers should take sensitivity training. And,
I'm telling you.
I mean, a lot of us have to do that for our jobs. Maybe they need to do it. That's the thing. Like, that was my argument with the people that were upset that Denny's being punished, and I use air quotes because I'm like,
he's getting off easy.
That's not a punishment. That's good for him. He's going to get some sensitivity training. It'll be good for him.
Yeah.
Something we all can use.
Right. And there's people out there and Eric, I might have been one of them years ago. And this is a joke, and this is what I messaged this in our group, that this clip from Family Guy, I mean, I remember it. I used to watch the show when I was young and dumb. This clip is 20 years old.
Right.
We don't do things the same as we did 20 years ago. And if we do, we put some labels on it. And that's, boy, man, if you don't like PC stuff, you're not gonna, I feel like you're not gonna like me after this conversation. But I just think it's just so dumb. It's like the dumbest thing I've ever seen on Twitter. I just cannot. I don't know. I can't believe that I can't believe it happened, and it happened so fast.
Mm-hmm.
It was just out of control.
Well, and just the fact that he doubled down on it and tripled down on it. There were three follow-up tweets in the thread. Yep. James,
he was loud and wrong, and was proud of himself. And Eric, I asked you if you wanted to reenact the phone call. We don't have to do that, but I can only imagine what the phone call was like after those tweets were out there for what, 2 hours.
Yeah.
Hey Denny, this is Steve Phelps. What the hell are you doing?
Right.
That's probably the end of the phone call. And then delete those tweets, and you're gonna have to start sensitivity training by Friday.
Yeah.
That's probably how that phone call went. And then FedEx probably called and said, "What is going on with you? What is going on?"
Yeah, this was so stupid that Denny not only is our jackass, but I'm gonna take over Door Bumper Clears What an Idiot and award that to him too.
He might be. This might be the jackass of all time.
Yeah, we might have to end the segment.
He might have ended it.
Yeah.
I don't know if we can top this.
I don't know that we can.
Jackass Corner replaced news.
Right.
With Denny Hamlin. I don't even know what else we can say about this.
Yeah, I guess.
Eric, I was so excited to talk about this topic because but at the end of the day, like I can't even go any farther because I don't even know what else to say.
I thought it was funny that sites like J-Ski and everybody kind of ignored it until the sensitivity training announcement came out. It's like, yeah, guys, we can't ignore it anymore. We got to go with it. I
would love to ask Bob Pockris too. Is Mike Joy going to have to issue an apology on the broadcast on Sunday?
I don't know. I hope so. I hope
he's going to have to, right?
I hope that he has to issue an apology on the network that airs the same show that was referenced in.
and maybe, yeah, I know. Fox airs Family Guy, so I guess Fox isn't going to make him apologize for something that they put on the air. But Mike Joy probably doesn't need to apologize because he's not the one who did the joke. No,
I think. See, I'll give Mike credit because he
said it.
He pulled it really quick though. Like one person replied to him and said, "Well, this is why," and he's like, "Oh, you're right," because I guess James, benefit of the doubt, and this isn't for Denny because Denny knew what he was doing, but for the people that are defending it, for one, the clip had audio as well, which I didn't hear at first. Makes it worse with the audio because you obviously recognize. Yeah, you obviously recognize that it's a racist thing. But
it's a white person doing an Asian voice.
On first glance, you might miss the joke. It's not as in your face as, say, if it was a black joke. It maybe isn't as obvious because like the first time I saw it, I'm like, huh? Oh man.
Yeah,
some people may not even know the stereotype because
it's a racial stereotype, and a lot of people may not get that stereotype, but it's a stereotype. I mean, it was made into a cartoon joke for a reason.
Right, exactly, 100%.
Yeah, and then I don't think I'm going back on something I said. I don't think Mike Joy's probably going to have to apologize because even I said, like, I have some friends who are not me, right? They're not white guys. The privileged white guy that I am. But I'm not afraid to rib them with some jokes that I wouldn't put them on Twitter. I probably wouldn't, but again, that goes back to the whole thing. Like if you're really good buddies with Kyle Larson and, this isn't the most egregious thing I've ever seen. Just keep it to yourselves, man. Don't take it out in public. I always kind
of abide by the fact, like if I wouldn't say it to my mom, I probably wouldn't put it on social media.
Well, yeah,
some people may have different relationships with their mom, but
some parents are different than others.
I try to be respectful to my mother, so.
My mother's a good, God-fearing woman, so yeah, I wouldn't have done this one.
Dover this weekend, James. Are you excited about Dover?
Sure, new car. Yeah, I'm good with. I'm good. Yeah,
I'm optimistic to see what happens this weekend because
new car on concrete.
Dover's been rough the past few years, and I'm hoping that this new car solves the Dover issues because I'm worried about this weekend because it just hasn't been good.
No.
With that though, we get to make our picks, and James is still ahead, but I took a significant chunk this weekend.
Another chunk. 2 weeks.
Only 23 points. I mean, it wasn't that big of a chunk.
Joey Logano killed me, and you had the winner of the Xfinity race, but I had H. Allmendinger, so that was actually close. 42-44, you got that one, and then Blaney didn't score a whole heck of a lot of points, so didn't really kill me. So I lost by 23 this week, but 27 back now, Eric. 815 to 788. So you still get the first pick. That's the beauty of the system.
Yes.
You get to keep chipping away at it.
So NASCAR Xfinity Series is the A Game 200, and James, I'm going to cheat a little bit this week.
Ooh.
I'm going to cheat, and instead of taking one pick, I'm taking four. I'm going to pick Brett, Freddie, TJ, and Justin, and I'm going to go with Justin Allgaier in the door bumper clear car this weekend at Dover.
Allgaier. I like it.
Yes, running the door bumper gear, door DBC car this weekend. I just want to see him win, just to see those guys all in victory lane. So,
yep. I'm gonna take Mr.
Plus, Justin Allgaier is good there, by the way.
Oh yeah, he'll be good. He'll be good.
Sorry.
No, you're good, man. He's the best. He's probably the best pick of the bunch. I was thinking of taking Noah Gragson. But I'm gonna take Mr. Middle Finger himself. I'm gonna take Ty Gibbs.
Nice. Did Ty run at Dover last year? I know you don't have that stat.
I don't know. I don't have it in front of me, actually, honestly. Nope. I don't have that. I have a lot of stats in front of me. I didn't grab that one.
Probably won at Dover last year.
You won all over the place.
Let me look here real quick. Austin Cindric won this race last year.
Okay, well, we don't have to worry about that.
Yes, because there was only one Dover race last year. Right?
There's only one Dover race now. Yep, we used to go here twice.
Right.
We just
so Austin Cindric was the winner. Ty Gibbs finished 5th.
There you go.
Justin Allgaier finished 3rd, though, just for the record.
Justin Allgaier is the best driver at Dover in the series.
Josh Berry was 2nd in this one last year.
Oh, there you go. I didn't even think about him.
Yeah, me neither.
Shame on me.
Cup Series. It is the Duramax Dryden 400 at Dover. James, I had a really tough time with this because I want to pick a certain way, and then I'm like, well, there's the logical choice for this track, but it's a new car. Do we really want it? So I'm just gonna do it. I'm going Kyle Larson for this one. Sorry.
Nah, you sneaked him out of there.
Yeah, I gotta go with the favorite, even though I don't know. I'm hesitant with it this weekend.
Well, you take Kyle Larson. I'm gonna take Alex Bowman.
Nice.
Yep. We go. We pick teammates again this week.
Not comfortable with Truex, huh?
I don't like what I'm seeing on Martin Truex right now.
Me neither. He would have been my pick, but I didn't even have him on my short list.
I picked him a few weeks back, and he got me 2 points, and he hasn't done much. So
yeah,
I'm gonna stay away from Martin Truex Jr. for a little while. Alex Bowman will be good here. This is one of his better tracks. He won here. Did he not? Yes, he did. He won here very, very recently. So one of the last few races.
Yeah.
And this is one of the races where it's actually one of the tracks where he has actually led almost 100 laps. Kevin Harvick's probably our best active driver here. Hamlin's good, but I'll go Bowman.
There you go. Fantasy. How'd fantasy go this weekend?
Oh my God. I felt like I was doing okay.
I thought I was doing well too, and I did all right, but
yeah. So, I was going to make I had this whole thing I was going to say about fantasy because I had a nice little tie-in about how I was Denny Hamlin and my brother-in-law Mike was, I kind of groomed him to come up to, be a champion in this series and a win for him is a win for me. And then Denny Hamlin did what he did. And it's all ruined. So I'm just going to skip it. But so Talladega, hold on just a second. So anyway, Mike got the win. Talladega, fast to the grass, slim margin of victory. A bunch of people under a blanket. Eric, you almost won this thing. You finished 4th, 10 points
close.
back.
I had Ross Chastain. Why did I pick Ross Chastain?
I don't.
Like, he doesn't run well at these. I don't understand why I picked Ross Chastain.
I bet big on Ford and had Bubba Wallace in there, and
Yeah,
it bit me in the butt because Joey crashed, and then I was actually doing really good, and then Brad, but I didn't break my rule. I did not look at the live standings, but I had Brad too.
I had Bubba, Brad, and Joey, and I was doing pretty good when I axed Joey, but then Brad did his stuff and Bubba did his thing. But I had Chastain, Byron, and Dylan, so those were real good picks. That's what got me there.
That kept you alive. And this was a low scoring week for everybody. 180 is usually not what we score, but but anyway, Fast to the Grass, the winner, Day in the Many, and the champ is here, third. He's lurking. He's not out of it yet. I finished way back. It wasn't great. Overall standings, Fast to the
11th,
Grass.
James. You got to say it. 11th.
11th
of 12.
Not good. Basically last, yeah. Fast to the Grass is our points leader. He's got a nice margin over Green Eggs and Hamlin. And then Justin 713 is third. And then we have a tie for fourth. I am fourth with Hot Rod Todd. Tandem Draft Tona is actually right there. And then Eric, you're in seventh.
I'm within reach of you.
Yeah, it got
ways
close.
off, but I'm in reach.
Yeah, I had a good start to my season, but the last 2 weeks have been pretty harmful on my standings. So, God, I'm glad to get past Talladega. I thought that was going to be a chance for me to make up some ground, but I'm gonna have to try again this week.
I want to note one other thing that I forgot to mention from the races this weekend. This was mentioned by a caller on Dave Moody's show yesterday, and he kind of blew it off, but I thought it was interesting. So the two races this weekend, we had in the Xfinity race, we had the Junior Motorsports Dale Earnhardt owned car win the race, Noah Gragson.
Mm-hmm.
We had Jeffrey Earnhardt finish second in the number 3 Richard Childress racing car.
Mm-hmm.
The Cup Series, we had Ross Chastain win in the 1 car, which formerly was the Chip Ganassi 1 car, which formerly was the DEI 1 car owned by Dale Earnhardt. And we had Austin Dillon finish second in the Cup race in the 3 Richard Childress racing car.
That's right.
So just an interesting Earnhardt weekend at Talladega,
yeah,
as it should be.
Dale Jr. in the booth, right?
Right.
So, yep, all makes sense.
Yeah.
Synergy.
Yep. Any shout outs this week, James?
Boy, I'm because we don't have a Jackass corner this week. It's already done. I'm trying to think of well, you know what? I'll do this really quick because I saw Marty Smith is actually writing about NASCAR again.
Nice.
I saw that today. He's got it's called Sunday Money on his network Outsider. So if you want to read a little bit of Marty Smith, go there.
Cool.
Outsider.com.
That's awesome. I'll have to check that out.
I was his fingers work. I was surprised.
Yeah.
My fingers don't work anymore. So
mine still do.
Yeah.
I don't write much anymore either. I mostly read. So I'm going to give a shout out just because it popped up on my Twitter feed as I was looking for Denny Hamlin stuff. We haven't shouted out the Orange Cone in a while. He's been semi-quiet on Twitter, a little busy with his ARCA job. But he tweeted an hour ago something that fits with the Denny Hamlin stuff and probably the other things that people are saying. His line is, just because many people say something doesn't mean it's true. Many people are, in fact, idiots. So good on the Orange Cone. No Jackass this week, James. We already got that done.
It's over. Yep. It's over.
Yep. Yeah, we might have to change that segment for the future. So
I think it might be retired, Eric. I don't know. But there's that's the great thing about this country and this world. There's always a jackass lurking.
Yeah, we'll have more jackasses.
I don't know how we're going to top this.
No.
I really don't. I really don't.
Well, James, if somebody wants to tweet a racist tweet at you during the week, if Denny Hamlin wants to reach out to you and address him being the jackass this week, how can he do it on Twitter?
You can do it at Elon Musk on Twitter. No, at James Cush on Twitter.
Yeah. Until Elon ruins Twitter and shuts it down, you can find me at TSuperspeedway on Twitter. You can find the podcast on Facebook, regardless of what Elon does, at facebook.com/thesuperspeedway. Our website is thesuperspeedway.com. You can find old episodes of the podcast, show notes, links to articles we discussed, past race coverage, all that stuff can be found there. Thesuperspeedway.com. You can find the podcast in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Facebook. Dover Raceway, Motor Speedway, whatever the heck it's called now, this weekend. We'll be back next
Over
weekend.
Downs.
There you go. Right, exactly. We'll be back next weekend to discuss it, break it all down, and see who else might be an idiot, because we're trending that direction. Until then, everybody, let's go racing.